for joining the Power Girls of Make an Impact for Young Girls event with your moderators, Kylie Montigney and Beray Donovan. And join us for this event. We are welcoming the founder of Women's Sports, helping inspire next generation, Kristen Nett, EVP of Branding and Marketing at QC Lauren Walsh, the founder of Exponential Women, Dr. Michelle S. Thomas, and empowerment coach Allie Correal. If you guys have any questions you'd like to ask any of our speakers, feel free to put in the comment section or go on the mic. We'll be happy to answer any questions you have. And thank you guys for joining. I'm really happy for you guys to join. And so I want to ask you guys, can you tell us kind of more about you and what you do individually? And Michelle, you can start.
Well, thank you for having me. First of all, this is amazing. I love whenever we, especially as women, can come together and have these conversations in a casual environment. So, for who doesn't know, I am Dr. Michelle S. Thomas. I am the founder and CEO of the Exceptional Woman Enterprise. The Exceptional Woman Enterprise consists of small entities that pour into this corporate office that helps women entrepreneurs achieve their goals. Our goal is to start from the beginning, the first, before you even get registered, and carry you and support you through all stages of your business development and growth so that we don't drop you off and leave you wondering what's next. So our job is to support women of all backgrounds, all financial statuses, all ages, and get us into the new level of expertise and expectations that women have today.
That's amazing. And Kristen, do you have would you introduce yourself and what you do?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Kristen Nett. I am the founder and president of Women in Sports, helping inspire the next generation, or Wishing for short. Basically, what we do is we try to help women who are 11th and 12th graders in high school receive educational and financial resources to pursue a career in the sports industry. Our vision is to see more women in the sports industry and more women of color in the sports industry. So 11th and 12th graders who are in our program are matched with a woman who works in professional sports, and they go through mentorship. So that's just a little bit about us.
That's amazing. Do you work in sports as well, or you just run an organization?
Yes, I currently work for the Kansas City Royals baseball team, and I've been working in baseball pretty much since I graduated from college. So all of our mentors work in either, professional sports like Major League Baseball, Minor League Baseball, NFL, NBA. But then we also have women who work for sports marketing firms, Special Olympics. So we have a very wide range of mentors.
That's so amazing. And Lauren or Allie, do you guys want to introduce yourself and basically talk about what you guys do? One of you can go first if you guys want to add.
I guess I'll go first. So my name is Alejandra, although most people call me Allie. I'm actually a master empowerment coach and a Procter Gallagher consultant. And what I do in the master as an empowerment coach is focus on women, and the idea is to really help them figure out what's making them stuck, but go a little bit deeper, because what happens most of the time is that we have so many stories embedded in our subconscious mind, and in how we behave and how we project ourselves, and we don't really realize that until we start feeling like we're going through this loop. And we don't understand why, why are we repeating the same mistakes? And it all has to do with the way that we've been raised, the way that we program how we allow our external influences. So as an empowerment coach, my role is to help women understand more about who they are, where are their limiting beliefs or paradigms, and help them through that, help them through the process of going through understanding their emotions, understanding what are they thinking that is toxic to them, that is triggering them, and really come to more of a conscious awareness of what their capabilities are, and how they can start changing that story to make a difference in their lives, and create different results. So it's something that I love, and actually I am going towards my doctoral of natural medicine. So I really do. My goal is to really come to understanding more of how our thinking influences the way that who we are and how that impacts our health, our and how we go about our goals. So I know there's a lot there, but it's been a it's a journey that I've been through as well. So
Well, I just realized I was muted, but like that's amazing. And like your work is like I'm so glad you're doing your work and like congratulations on going for your doctorate degree. That's amazing. But like Lauren, do you want to introduce yourself or you were like or if you want you can like add to that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm Lauren Walsh, the Executive Vice President of Branding and Marketing at Quality Control Music and QC Sports. So mostly, the record label is well known for names like Lil Baby, Lil Yachty, City Girls, Migos, and then on the sports side, we have NFL, NBA, and MLB athletes that we represent. I've spent the last 15 years working in sports and entertainment. Prior to joining QC a couple years ago, I actually ran my own sports marketing agency for 8 years. And I share with all the women here a very strong passion for giving back to the next generation of women. It was 3 years ago now, I actually started a mentorship program called Empowering Women in Sports and Entertainment, where I offer up my own knowledge, experience, and honestly also my Rolodex to women who are trying to either break into the industry or who are just getting started and really want to help find their way simply because no one did that for me when I first broke into the industry. So I really try to reach out and find ways that I can leverage everything that I've done or even who I have access to be able to give back to the next generation.
That's actually so awesome. Like I know like with a lot of people, like they really need to have a mentor because like oftentimes like when they don't have a mentor, they don't really have kind of don't know where they want to be in life. So that's actually so awesome that you're doing that. And like Beray, do you want to add anything or do you have any questions you want to ask or anything before I kind of start diving into anything? Do you want to add anything?
While we wait, I want to interject. It's really ironic. I don't know if you realize this, but 3 of your 4 panelists were all from sports and entertainment.
Oh yeah.
We all come from the world of sports and entertainment. That is so which to have a panel and 3 women are focused on the same thing for young ladies to make sure that they have representation in sports and entertainment because just as Lauren said, coming into that kind of industry is hard. It's a lot to do. And I come from the C-suite side of it, but my husband right now is with the Braves. We've been with a lot of sports teams. And so the representation, not only just of women, but women of color in the sports and entertainment world is very minimum because they're niched in. And so it's exciting just to even meet these young ladies to talk about how we can all work together to help change that level and that bridge of where we can be as former athletes or future athletes, or even explaining to young ladies all of the different aspects and possibilities of you don't have to be an athlete to be a part of sports and entertainment. There's so many different avenues and different aspects that they can take. So kudos to you.
For sure. Like, I know like with like being like a woman of color or even being in the woman like or not what I'm saying, like sports or entertainment industry, like sometimes like they are like that's a male dominated industry, like
Yeah.
how am I supposed to get involved? But like it's just always ways to get involved. Like I did like there's a minor league team for the New York Yankees by my house. I was like, I have to get a job there because for me, people know me, like I'm the biggest baseball fan to ever exist. So I'm like I have to get a job with a sports team. I know it's the same thing for you, Kristen, with working in sports, but like with working in sports, like even like with it being a male-dominated industry, there's still tons of women like that are breaking out in recent years. Like if you see things like 5 years ago, then and now in 2023, like there's a major difference to what we've seen a couple of years ago with women's sports or even entertainment as well.
Yeah.
But like I wanted to ask you, Kristen, like how does like your organization women's sports inspiring the next generation sports kind of help women's sports in general?
Yeah, so we actually were just founded as a nonprofit last month. So we officially received our nonprofit status, which has been really exciting when we've been able to accept donations. And our first year of programming is going to start actually this September. So our mentorship program will start in September to May, and we have about 230 mentors across the nation, women working in sports who are a part of our program and who will be mentoring 11th and 12th graders in high school. And I'm just really excited for this opportunity. Our goal is to create equal opportunities for all women. So we've been targeting Title I high schools and women in underserved communities. So I have a meeting next week with the Boys and Girls Club. We're really trying to target those who may not have these opportunities. And that's what's really unique about Wishing.
That's actually so cool, and congratulations on the nonprofit. That's actually so cool. And like, do you think like women, well, this can go out to all of you, not just Kristen, but do you think like women's sports are upper represented, or like how you say it? And this can go to Kristen or any of you that want to answer.
Are you asking how well we are represented in sports? Is that what the question is?
Yeah, how do you think like young girls are represented in sports or underrepresented? Like, do you think like young girls are represented or are represented?
So I think that we have to, which is what makes what Kristen what they're doing so important. Because as a young athlete, we start out 6th, 7th, 8th grade or whatever, and we start into our journey of sports. And then we get into high school and we're excited about it. And then it's not until you get into this collegiate area that you realize that you're kind of the side portion of the college. And so we got to do something that we can better balance the future outlook of young ladies in sports through that collegiate and support them through that collegiate level, because I can't tell you, especially with the Exceptional Woman Network, we have a lot of young ladies that come and have these conversations and these open dialogues. And so I hear these college athletes, young ladies talk about how they get the secondhand equipment. My company in itself wants to sit down with the NCAA because even scholarships athletic scholarships that are awarded for high school students to go into college, they're actually male scholarships. They're not designed for young ladies. And so you have a young lady that's coming out of this very underrepresented community. She may be the first person going to college, or this is the only opportunity for her to get that college education. And family doesn't have money for college. So you look at those deficits in that contract or that scholarship where she can't buy feminine products per month. She can't take care of herself on a woman level because there's no money for that. There's nothing carved out for that. And so these women athletes, these girl athletes get into college and they almost feel obsolete. Where in high school, I felt strong. I felt, everyone showed up and everyone's at my games. And now I'm in college and I'm struggling. So it's that breakdown of how to keep encouraging them through those 4 years so that they know on the other side that they can still continue to grow. But even if you we have a lot of WNBA women that's connected with our organization, and the continual fight that women professional athletes have to have for equal pay, for equal attention, what was it, last fall or last spring or something, when the women's soccer finally got national coverage for their event, which was phenomenal. But we shouldn't have to fight so hard for us to be seen and heard in the industry. An athlete is an athlete. The training is still the same. The commitment is still the same. The conditioning is still the same. So we have to band together and try to get these girls equal playing fields for the support that they need.
You're exactly right, because like with like US soccer team, like they just got equal pay last year. Like the men's soccer team got more pay, even though the US soccer team was doing much better than they were. Even though they're both in the Olympics, the US soccer team was doing much better than like the men's were. But like I want to ask all of you guys can answer this question, but like why do you guys think girls don't feel inspired? Or why do you guys think like they just kind of don't feel kind of inspired in terms of going to a career or seeing themselves? Like why do you guys think like they don't feel inspired in life or anything? You guys can answer this if you guys want.
I would say that based on what I've seen is the way that our society has programmed us from the moment that we're young. If you have a mother or a grandmother that's a strong role model, that they were able to just get out there and that's what you see, that's what you'll most likely will follow on in the footsteps. But if you're born into, and I'm not saying it's always the parents' fault, and because it's could start from not even parents but school. The way that school is it's either pushing little boys a little bit more, or they have this programming of what is the boys' role versus the women's role. And I have two daughters where one is 8 and the other one is 6. And I do hear that type of programming. One of them told me, "Oh, this little boy likes Barbie." And that's very weird, isn't it? Like he likes Barbies. And I'm like, no, it's okay. I mean, boys can like Barbies, women can like G.I. Joes. It really doesn't matter. But it's just the way that you may have a parent that be like, oh yeah, that is totally weird. That the little boy should not be playing with Barbies because that's more of a girl's toy. So it's just the way that we've been programmed, and it has to do with how well like our internal home will push these little girls to know that they can be whoever they want to. And now you see it, Disney Channel is trying to push more like dream big. You can do amazing things. Back in my day, there was nothing like that. It's like women will go in the kitchen and this is what you're supposed to do. Women are supposed to behave a certain way. And when coaching women, that's something that I see, especially the older women, is like so much programming from the moment that we're young, what they were told they could do. And now we have the social media. Social media is such a bad influence because of the way we see ourselves, the way they tell us about our self-image, and all these little factors will affect us in not being inspired to go after our dreams, because no one is telling women you can be whoever you want to be, no matter what industry you want to be in. And in the sports and entertainment, I can see that. But there's other industries that is more male orient, or it's more men than women, and women have a hard time breaking through that ceiling. So I think in order for us to make a change is to start making the change at home and our schools, to keep pushing and encouraging women and little girls to understand that you can be whoever you want to be. But that story is telling her that same story all the time because that's what programs us.
And I agree. A statistic shows that before a young lady reaches 12th grade, she has heard hundreds of times of what she cannot do, and far less of what she is able to do. I think even when you look at our counselors and career fairs and things, that when they come into the schools, there's this old tradition of steering where young ladies go this path, young men go in this path. And so it's ingrained in this mindset that we have a position that we have to remain in. And for those that step outside of that position, we become the outliers, we become the unaccepted, we become the, oh, well, she's very aggressive, or, like for me, I started what I should have, and now this is a different story, but I started my management career at the age of 19. And so I'm a young lady, and everyone was like, well, you should be this and you should be that. And so the way that I communicated, because I had to deal with a lot of men, I received a lot of pushback from women. I received it more from women than I did from men, because they thought that I spoke too aggressively, or I was too driven, or I was not feminine enough, or whatever. And that stuff weighs on you. So we got to be careful about the messaging that we send to young ladies about what your body type should look like, or what your hair should look like, or what makes a woman, and more embrace the human portion of us first than the structure of what we look like, because that's getting these young ladies into these very unhealthy mindsets of, in order for me to be successful, I have to look like a reality star, or I have to have this kind of hair, or this texture of or this skin color, or my teeth has to look a certain way in order for society to think that I'm important. And we have to embrace us as we are. And that starts, just as she just said, it starts in the home. It starts with conversations like this, where we all sit in our own excellence and embrace each other. We show people how women from different backgrounds, different ages, different races, different cultures can sit together and talk about the good of all of us together. If they see more of this, then less of the cat fights and the reality stars dragging people or whatever, then they'll start to view us as a unit. We got to work together.
Hands down to that. And like, before we run out of time, like, I want to ask Lauren, like, how do you think having a female mentor is like important in this business and like sports or entertainment?
I think at the end of the day, I think having any sort of a mentor, I think it's important to have a mentor, but I also think we need to take it beyond. I think we use the word mentor a lot in this space. I think we also need to look at something which is sponsorship. I think what women in this space need are actually other women who are willing to stick their hand out and give the advice, which is what mentorship is, but also take their hand and say, I'm going to bring you with me. You're going to come to these events with me, and I'm going to directly introduce you to the right people. Or you're going to come watch how I do something so you can actually get hands-on learning. I think that's something that is still missing a little bit. I hear it all the time where it's all about, let's give women a seat at the table. And I say, I actually think we are putting women in a bad position if all we do is say, hey, pull up a chair and come sit at the table. Because if we don't prepare those women to actually know how to then have the conversation at the table, I think we're putting them at a deficit. Because what I've seen in this industry is that as hard as it is to break in, it is even harder to stay in. Like, it is one of those industries where once you get in, you have to continue to level up and work harder. And by working harder and leveling up, I don't just mean in your career, but I also mean who you are as a person. And I think we discount that a lot too, is we make it seem like, oh, the goal here is just to climb the ladder and get to a certain title. But what I always say to my mentees is I say, look, spend just as much time as you are on your career, on yourself. Because when I started to actually unlock some levels of success, which, everyone has their own version of what success is, but I will tell you, it didn't come by me spending more hours at the office. It came when I started to actually get to know who I was as a person. And when I stopped caring what other people thought about me, and I started just being authentic in who I was. So I think it's important, but I think we also should kind of let our actions speak, put our money where our mouth is. And as women who want to mentor, be willing to go the extra mile and directly make those intros, show these women how to actually do.
I want to ask you, Michelle, like, you are a global change leader for women of color interpreters. Like, how do you kind of approach and help people that are women of color interpreters or around the world, not necessarily like a business?
I show up I show up. I show up in spaces that people would avoid, or people would think is not the hype or the limelight. I don't show up with camera crews everywhere. I'm there in the schools. I'm there having the conversations. I'm getting inputs from young ladies that can't see themselves owning 7 businesses. We have conversation, and I make myself accessible not as some celebrity or not as some business leader. I'm the mom, I'm the sister, I'm the auntie, I'm the person that sits down and we're gonna have some hot dogs and let's have a conversation. And I think that when we make ourselves not relevant to what size house we have and what kind of car we drive and what our bank accounts, all of my celebrity speakers and anybody that comes to my stage has to have a conversation with me. And the first thing that they have to understand is don't show up with your bank account. Don't show up with your celebrityism and don't show up with your expertise. You show up with your story. And because there's a woman that's sitting in that audience, there's a young lady that's listening to you right now that couldn't care less about the millions that you have. But what she needs to know is that you started out in the same seat that she had and how you got to where you are. So I show up in my journey and with my story, not with my car, not with my money, not with my businesses. I sit and I listen. And I think that that leads, especially for people of color, it puts us in a different space where, because I'm competing against the reality stars, I'm competing against the people that want the celebrities, the artists, that the snapshots that we see on social media that people think that success is instant. I show up with a story.
I love that what you said there because like with that no one cares about how much money you have. Like anyone can care less about how much money you have or what you have or how big your house is. It's a matter of what your story is and how you got to where you're today. Like that's like the mission of my podcast is that like I have been doing podcasting for basically 2 years last month. That like my mission, like that's the reason why I started my podcast is that like I wanted to share not only my story, but other people's stories as well in entertainment, sports, and politics, or whatever business they are in. Because like not everyone has a mentor. Not everyone hears people's stories. So that's really what I wanted to do. And like if like for me, like I wanted to share my story about anxiety. Like I've been dealing with anxiety, depression since I was born. Like I had bad anxiety and I was shy my whole life. And like you may think like, oh, you're shy or you're shy. I get that all the time. It's like people might think I'm not shy, like because like I was like they couldn't imagine, but then I'm like, well, I kind of grow. That's how things go. But it's like that's the reason of like growing and speaking now. It's like there's always that one project that you did that helps you grow your confidence and make you less shy. And the podcast was out for me. So like there's always something they grow up and then like once you get that upbringing and grow as a person, then people might think like, oh, you dealt with that. Like just if you share your story and be like, hey, like I dealt with this, I dealt with that, but then people are like, I'm not alone. Like people think like you makes them feel less alone in this journey, whether they're in sports or entertainment or even dealing with mental health problems. If people hear it, what you say, they're for the same thing, they feel less alone along their journey with mental health or even sports or entertainment. But like the last thing I want to add for you guys before we head out is what is some advice for young girls that are alone and just kind of want to make an impact and basically want to be the change? And this question is for all of you.
Just don't do it by yourself. Just don't listen to the external influences that tell you can't do it. As I said before, is when we're little, we're programmed to think of us a certain way, and in order for us to stop that voice, that thinking, is for you to start to build your self-esteem, to build your courage. And one thing that even my mentor said is like, what would courage have you do? Always ask that question. What would courage have you do? Because the moment that you allow yourself to listen to that voice of what would courage have you do, you will do amazing things. And I remember, Kylie, when I was younger, I always think that there was so much I wanted to do, and I would just go after things. And then older you get, you start stopping yourself because of all this noise. And I learned that, through my own journey is, we need to start stopping those voices and build that confidence and just allow yourself and remind yourself of who you are, who you truly are, and stop. Yeah, and don't worry. As Lauren mentioned at some point, is the moment that she She didn't care what other people thought of her. That's the moment that she started shining. And I think that that goes with everyone, that I've coached, and the people and I mean, women who started their own businesses. I can tell from Kristen and Michelle that the moment that they stop listening to that exterior voice, and they allowed the courage to just show up, that's the moment that they shine. And that's the same thing I would tell little young girls, is just don't stop listening to the exterior. Stop listening to social media and allowing social media influence you. You have to love yourself regardless. You are the most amazing person. So it doesn't matter where you come from or what you've done and who your parents are. You are amazing just the way you are. And it starts loving yourself. So that's just that's it. I'm very passionate about that. So.
Yeah, I think kind of going along with that, just surround yourself with women who lift you up and not put you down. I feel very lucky to have had a great mom and a great sister who I can use as role models. I know some people aren't as fortunate as that and don't have a role model from the time they're born who's female. So finding those women who are going to support you and who know what you're going through and who are going to be your support system, which I feel very lucky. A lot of the mentors and the leadership team that I have with Wishing, we can just text each other in our group chat, and if we're having a bad day, because we all know what it's like to work in sports and how hard it can be. But just make sure you're setting yourself up with a good support group of women.
I'll add that you need to know and truly believe that you are enough just as you are. In this industry, it's very easy to think that you are not worthy unless you have a title or accolades or whatever it may be. And I think one of the most important things is that you realize that you are enough just as you are. Who you are is who you were made to be. And you should spend time falling in love with that person. Fall in love with yourself. Get to know exactly who you are, what makes you unique. Get to know what your special capabilities are, everything that you've been blessed with as a person, and then use those to show up in the world. Because when you can get to know who you are and understand that that is the version of yourself that the rest of the world needs, that's when you will start to operate in alignment. That's when you will start to see all the things that will come your way. And that's also when you'll start to actually enjoy the process and the journey, because at the end of the day, there really is no destination. You shouldn't set your sights on just a certain title or a certain company or a certain anything. You should love and accept the fact that if you can show up as just who you are and focus on falling in love with the journey, you will enjoy the process and you will end up getting so much more out of this than you ever imagined.
And I guess to finish off with that, my advice would be to throw away the timeline. Don't let anybody convince you that you have to reach a certain milestone by a certain age, or you have to accomplish something by a certain time of your life, or have children, a family, or whatever. Throw away the timeline. Find who you are, just as Lauren said. Figure out who you are. Enjoy the ups and the downs. Learn from those down times. And enjoy this ride that you're on. We got one shot at life. And if you spend majority of it trying to chase someone else's dreams, you're going to wake up one day and not realize who you are. So spend time with yourself, learn who yourself. Don't put the pressure of the timeline on yourself, and enjoy the journey.
Yeah, I love like everything you said, all of you guys said, and like Beray, you can add something as well, but like when people like as fortunate as like we are with this business, like not every like journey is the same. Not every story is the same. Like for me, like with being, like, you always have to have a support system around you and have a role model or have someone to look up to. Even with some people like are not fortunate, like Kristen said, like doesn't have a fortunate to have a role model. Like for me, it's like my aunt, my mom, my sister, and basically my whole family. Like I look up to everyone, my family and friends in every single different way because everyone's different. Everyone has a different personality and everyone's different. Like it's just like without the support of my family, I wouldn't be here. Like it's like for me, my anxiety took over my entire life. I missed out on basically my entire my childhood because of my anxiety. And I never really shared it because like I was obviously embarrassed of it because I was like, I missed out my entire childhood. But if it wasn't for my family for encouraging me and kind of growing as a person, and like I know like a bunch of times they probably were angry with me for not letting me do things and kind of checking out last minute to doing things. But it's like they were there. And like I would say like for girls that were like kind of like want to be okay, just like be yourself. Don't care what anyone else thinks. Like no one like the only opinion you should care about is your own opinion. Because of course you're your own judgment. You're the only person that knows what you want to do. You're the only person that controls kind of how you feel in your mind, in your body. And like you're the only person that can really control basically how you go. Like you don't like if you are in entertainment and sports, like with both industries, like they're both hard businesses from my experience. I work for a baseball team. I've been doing podcasting for a couple of years. I've been doing all these things from my family's experience and from the people I talk to, like you guys and people who have a podcast. Like the journey is never easy. No one has an easy journey. Of course, there are great accomplishments along the way, but not every journey is easy. Of course, people might think like, oh, your journey is so easy, like you're getting so many successes. But like to get those accomplishments, you have to work hard in your business because not everything comes to you if you are doing nothing. To say back and wait for everything to come to you because not everything comes to you without making hard work and doing so many things and working your butt off each day to kind of live your dream each day. But like, I just wanted to thank you guys so much for joining this event. I love chatting with all of you. You guys are all so inspiring. And thank you, Beray, for helping me out with this. You're amazing. I wouldn't be doing all these things without your help. And so thank you so much, Beray, for helping me with this organization. And thank you everyone for joining and listening. I really appreciate it. And thank you to all of our amazing speakers. Like you guys are terrific and so inspiring. I'm so lucky to connect with all of you. And yeah, so thank you so much, guys.
Kylie, make sure that you tell them how they follow you and how they connect with you.
Yeah, so of course you guys can follow my pages at official Kylie Montigney on all social medias and Empower Girls at on Instagram and stuff. And you guys can tell you where people can connect and Beray, you can ask any question you guys have.
I'd like to add something. I'm not from the US. English is not my native language, so I couldn't talk so much, but I'd like to thank all of you for the encouraging words and inspiration because, you know, it's really good and it's really amazing to have all of you and talk about journey story, your story. So and Kylie, I like to thank you for asking me to be the board director or of Empowering Girls because, you know, it's really changing the world, the things that you do, your podcast, your Instagram page, that it's really changing the world and I'm so happy to be a part of it. And Michelle, Lauren, all of you, thank you for all your words and your stories. So I'd like to add that.